I want people to come to the knowledge of Jesus Christ. That's what I want. However, we should understand something about our interactions with other people. And the simple fact, okay, the simple fact is no one is neutral. Okay? No one is neutral, especially when it comes to Christianity. No one's neutral. You either believe it or you don't. You either accept it or you don't. There's no neutrality. Okay? And what I see in a lot of street epistemology and things like that is this like pretension of neutrality, right? This veneer that every question that's being asked is actually neutral, right? But anyone who has ever done debate or has ever seen debate, okay? Anyone that's ever seen a debate, you understand that being the questioner, okay? Adam, just hang with me, okay? Both Adams. Just hang with me for a second, okay? Hang with me for a second, okay? I know it's not a debate, but listen, okay? If you watch a debate, there's a section of cross-examination, okay? And here's what I challenge you to do. If you've never watched like one of these debates, go on YouTube, search Dr. James White debate. Almost every debate that he does has a cross-examination section, okay? During the cross-examination, the questions are actually made and created to prove a point or to lead someone down a path to an end position, right? To show inconsistency, to show the irrationality of a certain position or argument, right? Now, is there anything wrong with that? No. Right? There's nothing wrong with asking good questions. But the questioner isn't pretending to be neutral when they're asking those questions. Right? It's not like you're in a debate and you're saying, hey, okay, debater, these are completely neutral questions that I'm going to ask you. And they just might lead you down a path that makes you contradict what you're saying. Right? Up front, you understand that there's a bias and there's a reason why I'm asking you these questions. That's why it's called a method, right? There's a reason why these questions are the way that they are, right? And so when it comes to the method, and I'm not saying the Socratic method is bad. Asking questions is great, okay? So Adam, right? That's the point, right? Because if you're going to say it's all about honesty, right? That gives off the notion that all you actually care about is the truth, right? Even if you don't agree with it. Right? But that's not really the case, especially when I hear a lot of street epistemology people who, on one hand, they want to say, yeah, I want to be as honest as possible, and I just want to learn what people think. And then, wink, wink, I, Dan Simpson, in his scope, okay, says, oh, well, all those beliefs, they're hogwash. All those beliefs, man, they have no value, right? Exactly, because everyone has beliefs that impact their thinking. Everybody, okay? Everyone does. That's my point, right? Everyone is coming from a position. And so, when we're interacting with someone, okay, and this is what bothered me, this is what really bothered me about Michael Foster's interaction with Dan Simpson, that's his name, Simpson, on Twitter, was Michael said, can we have a back and forth? Because that's what a conversation is. If you're going to use language super sloppily, and say me interviewing you and cross-examining you is a conversation, that's nonsense. That's not what a conversation is. Okay? That's sloppy. That's a sloppy use of language. Okay? That's a sloppy use of language. Okay? Foster just said, let's have a back and forth. Let's have a back and forth. Okay, look, Lear, I don't speak for Foster. I love the dude. He's a brother in Christ. We're friends. But I don't speak for him. I'm not defending him. Okay? But on that interaction, if you read the tweets going back and forth, it's pretty obvious that Foster's saying, let's have a back and forth. And as soon as Foster questions what Dan wants to do, Dan's like, oh, well, I'm out. Which is fine. That's his prerogative. He can do that. He can do that. And I'm not going to call him a chicken. I'm not going to say that he's being dishonest for doing that. I just think it's, it's kind of childish. To feign wanting to be in a conversation, and then when the conversation comes, no, Wooly, you watch some of Dan Simpson's scopes. He's constantly interchanging interview, and conversation. Why is it upsetting you enough to scope it? It's not upsetting me. That's the thing. If you think I look upset, I just talk loud all the time. If you've ever watched a lot of my other... I did a scope about Jesus being high priest, and I get loud about that because Jesus is awesome. Jesus is our high priest. Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I'm not upset. I don't have any need to get upset. Number one, Foster can fight his own battles. Right? Foster can fight his own battles, all right? He doesn't need me to do that. This is just what I've witnessed. This is just, okay, well, if you want to be a mind reader, Supro, that's fine, okay? If you want to read my mind, go for it, okay? I'm telling you I'm not upset, all right? So you can choose not to trust me. That's fine. Foster is listening. Yeah, I know. I got to be careful what I say. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. So anyway, so when we have these interactions, okay, and so anyway, let me finish my other point. Because I'm going to do some mind reading, but it's not me who's mind reading, okay? I get passionate about, Hebrews chapter 7, about Jesus being the high priest forever, because he always intercedes for us on our behalf. That's an amazing truth, and I get that. So Adam, I'm going to ask you not to curse on my scope, all right? I'll block you. So I'll give you a warning. And we'll let that be. Speaking of wanting conversations. Okay, speaking of wanting conversations. I wasn't going to bring this up. Yeah, the other one. That's right. The other one. Not the junior epistemologist. I wasn't going to bring this up because, I don't care enough to talk really about it. But since Adam, the other Adam, he lies, Adam Hale, brought up wanting to be open and having a true conversation, Dan Simpson goes on Periscope, says, come on in and make a critique of SE. And he limits the comments. He limited the comments. So that when I went in there, I couldn't ask him. I had to tweet him, and he didn't respond. Foster. I mean, if we want to have open dialogue, I'm letting you guys on here. You guys can say your piece. And is this the best way? No, it's not. Okay? This is what I have time for. Is a few minutes to Periscope before I wrap up work and go home. And that's the reality for a lot of people, right? Foster's a busy guy. I'm a busy guy. I'm sure, I know Adam's a busy guy. I'm sure a lot of y'all who do SE, and I'm sure Dan is a busy guy, right? Yeah, no, I get that. And here's the thing, Adam, right? We have to understand. Yes, Jen, I don't have 2 hours. And Adam, we have to understand, right? That, and I have to understand that you have that limitation, right? And there's times where I actually overrun people and get out in front of them. And I have to, call myself back because that's the fair thing to do. The unfair thing to do, in my humble opinion, is to say, I want critiques of my position, and then I'm going to close comments. And then only people who are following me can do that. Well, and snark is okay, though, Michael, right? I think even you would agree, because you are quite snarky on Fire Talk. Right? Right? So you're going to circumnavigate rather than tell me why we can't. Why we can't what? I don't know what you mean, Adam. I don't know what that means. And I don't know if that was directed to me. But anyway. Michael S. is quite snarky on Fire Talk. But I like that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, no, I get you, man. I get you, Michael. I get you. Yeah. Why can we not talk off the app? Well, we can do that. But it takes time to set that stuff up. Both people have to be free to be able to do it, right? Both people have to be available at the same time for a same set amount of time. It's not easy to be able to set those things up, And especially for, I know for Foster and myself, I think it's thing where, yeah, I agree. I agree with you there, Michael. I agree with you there. And so we're busy. I have a lot of stuff. Is it two that's a cop out? There's not a cop outside as far as I know. No. 20 minutes. So a conversation can actually be done in 20 minutes where both sides can actually be heard and understood. I disagree. I disagree with that. Yeah, it takes longer. There's a reason why, Adam Hale, that those YouTube videos that Anthony Masabosco does, I probably butchered his last name, but that's fine. I wish his last name was Bosco, because that's awesome. Right? They always say it's 5 minutes. Do you have 5 minutes to talk to me? They always go longer. Almost always. They almost always go longer, at least the ones that I've seen. Right? Well, why is that? Because people, when you're having an exchange of ideas, when you're talking to each other, it tends to go longer. Yeah, there's opening statements and debates that are like 25, 30 minutes long. Because, and I think, and Adam, I'm not saying this is you, okay? Yeah, I say quick scope all the time and it gets longer, And I'm not saying this is you, Adam. Yeah, but it's an open exchange of ideas, Adam. And if the questioner isn't going to allow for themselves to get pushback on a certain question, right? Then how honest is that approach? So that's what I'm saying, right? That's what I'm saying about SE. Okay? Is if you can't allow for the commenter or for the interviewer to get some pushback, then I think it's flawed. To a certain extent, we all do that. That is true. We all need to get better. What is better in an atheist worldview? I don't know. Just kidding, all right? So, as Christians, okay, we need to understand that no one's actually neutral, okay? Jesus said, Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. People hate that. People deplore that. People hate that Jesus would be so exclusive. Okay? The same way you do, Wooly. The same way you do. That's how we know. The same way you do. Yeah. Some atheists aren't honest. Some people who profess to be Christians aren't honest. That's true. Yeah, that's definitely true. And as a believer, right, my presupposition is that the triune God of Scripture exists and that He's revealed Himself clearly in His Word. Those are my presuppositions. And everyone has presuppositions. Everyone has presuppositions. They have a set of assumptions that they bring to a problem or an issue or a question that helps them understand that. Not so. If you don't think that you have presuppositions, then you haven't thought hard enough. And I presuppose that because without it, the world is unintelligible. You have no grounding for morals, logic. You have no grounding for knowledge. You have no grounding for reality, rationality. So it is important to examine your presuppositions. But here's the thing, Michael, right? When you examine a presupposition, you examine that differently than you would like an external piece of evidence. So is that circular? Yes, it's circular. But every ultimate authority is circular. So if you're going to say, right, like, and for the atheists, typically it comes down to their ability to reason. Typically. Some are different. But if you're going to say, like, your ability to reason, I can ask you, okay, well, how do you know that your reasoning is valid without using your reasoning? Right? Pretty much, I mean, no matter what you say, no matter what reason you give, you use your reasoning in that regard. So in that regard, it's circular. So every ultimate authority has to be circular. And so the question is, yeah, well, of course you're not compelled. You're not compelled because you're not a believer, right? And God needs to reach down and turn your heart of stone to a heart of flesh from the Christian perspective. So, anyway. So there's a few things that I want to go over. Your precepts are atrocious. In an atheist worldview, what is atrociousness? What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Right? Atrociousness. It's meaningless. It's meaningless in an atheist universe. It's meaningless. Because atrociousness has to deal with morality. It's a moral claim. That's what it is. How do you sleep at night? Well, I haven't been sleeping that well. Because I have a 1-month-old. So, how do I sleep at night? I don't. So, there you go. On a pillow on my bed. Yeah. Sometimes not on my bed. Sometimes it's on the couch. Sometimes, babies make you do crazy things. Romans chapter 1. Now, how does Romans chapter 1 play into how we use apologetics? Do not label me along with everyone else. What does that even mean? Oh, man. That's funny. That is funny. For the wrath of God is revealed. Dude, Adam, I don't even know what you're talking about. That's why I'm laughing, because I don't know what you meant by that. Don't label me like everyone else. What does that even mean? How did I label you like anyone else? I don't get it. Are you not an atheist? And this is normally what you get ad hominem, but that's okay. So you are an atheist. And I'm asking you, in your worldview, how do you account for calling anything atrocious? You should just say, well, that is. I don't even know what that means. So you don't even know what ad hominem is. Okay. You don't know what ad hom is. Okay. Atheists don't have the same worldview. That's true to an extent, but their atheism, their denial of the God claim, right? And their the no God position actually does impact their worldview. So that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not saying all atheists are the same. What I'm saying is there are consequences and implications to saying no God. The no God position actually does have implications. I don't even know what that means. So you don't know what ad hominem means. Okay, great. You should look it up. Yeah, it isn't simply lack of belief. You don't do things out of a lack of belief, right? You don't get on Periscope because you lack belief. In fact, you get on Periscope and comment on Christian scopes because you believe they're wrong. See you later, Eric. Human morals predate religion. Of course, unless God predates humanity and endows them with his image, then you'd be wrong about that, right? So anyway, Romans chapter 1, verse 18. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who by their unrighteousness suppress the truth. For what can be known about God is plain to them, because God has shown it to them. So, a couple things. As a Christian, now, my atheist friends are going to get mad at me, and that's fine. Okay? You can get mad at me, you can block me, you could leave. I don't really care. People who do not believe in Jesus Christ suppress the truth in unrighteousness. What essentially, it's not simply an intellectual problem. Atheists don't just intellectually have issues with Christianity. It goes deeper than that. In fact, they love their sin more than they're willing to bow the knee to Christ. And I used to be like that. I used to be the rebel living in God's world, denying that he existed. I used to be that. I used to be so in love with my sin that I would deny him, because I loved my sin. I am not a rebel. Do I sin? Do I struggle with my sin? I sure do, but I'm not a rebel. I am humbly submitted to God. Humbly submitted. That doesn't mean I don't war my flesh. What are sins? Sins are anything that goes against the character and nature of God. Specifically, that has been revealed in his word. For his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made, so they are without excuse. And the atheist isn't going to be standing before the judgment seat of God saying, oh man, I wish that you gave me more evidence. I wish that you just showed up. I wish that you gave me that cosmic cheeseburger so that I knew that you existed. No. It's plainly and clearly perceived. So you are without excuse. You are without excuse for the sin that you commit against the God that you know exists. For although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give him thanks, but they became futile in their thinking, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Claiming to be wise, they became fools and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images resembling mortal man and birds and animals and creeping things. Now, here's the thing. Okay? The reason why I get on Periscope and the reason why I would even engage in this discussion, okay, is because I love the atheist. I love my atheist friends. That's why I get on here. Because I love my atheist friends. You can feel free to ask your question again. In fact, it's up here. Here, how about this? I'm going to stop my thought in the middle of my thought because you're that special, Ian. Are you ready? Why give someone a logical brain and expect them to believe something their brain couldn't possibly, and that's where it ends. Possibly, yeah, he ignores comments and can't answer. Can't possibly what? Can't possibly what? Can't possibly believe? Yeah, God gives us brains. You commented before that. Okay, let's see. Let's go up. Where are you here? You learn morals in secular society and then say those disagreeable verses are just metaphor. I don't know if that has any meaning. I don't think I understand what you're even trying to say. So here's the thing. So what's Blab? I don't think he was on Blab. So why would God give someone a logical brain? Because he's rational. Because the laws of logic flow from the character of God. He is logical. God is rational. That's part and parcel of what being created in the image of God is. The fact that we can reason. Now, here's a good question for my atheist friends. If all you are is stardust, and all you are is the random mutations over time from evolution, right? And you have chemical reactions going on in your brain, right? How does that equate to rationality or reason? That's the question. Even if they're not all random, how do chemicals in your brain somehow equal truth, somehow equal reason, somehow equal rationality? That's the question. If you're just a byproduct of nature that was created out of chaos, chemicals aren't rational or irrational. That's the point. So then tell me, from an atheistic perspective, where you get rationality from? That's the question. You highlighted the question well. It doesn't make sense. Brain fizz, right, doesn't give us truth. Brain fizz doesn't give us rationality. Right? So you need to account for that. The feelings and thoughts that those brain chemicals produce. It makes sense to anyone not blinded by religion. Well, there you go. Yes. Atheists don't need to account for anything. Can you account for that? Onus is on you. You deny Jesus. Ian, let me ask you. Is Jesus God? Yes or no? Ian, is Jesus God? Yes or no? I don't know. Now, is that a claim? I don't believe so. Is that a claim, saying I don't know? Yeah. So Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life, in John chapter 14. I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. Is that claim true or false? I think it's reasonable to say it is highly unlikely to be true. But that's not a claim. That's not a position. Once we have proof of Jesus. Yes, the most heavily attested to ancient writing in all of humanity isn't actually evidence. Isn't actually evidence, right? Yeah. Hey, Ian, let me ask you one more question. I won't today. What's up, Lou? Is that Lou? Is that the Lou I know? Is that Lou? That is Lou. What's up, Lou? Travis is as Travis does. That's right. Ian. Ian, could you be wrong about everything you think you know? So every piece of knowledge that you have in your head, could it be wrong? Yes, I could be wrong about anything and everything. Doug says no. So Ian says he could be wrong about anything and everything. So Grace actually says something interesting. So Grace agreed. Grace said, yes, I could be wrong about everything and so could you. But you can't know what I could know or couldn't know because you could be wrong about that. So once you say I could be wrong about everything, you actually admitted that you don't know anything. And so, this is another area where street epistemology ironically fails. It fails because epistemology is the study of knowledge. It's how we know things. I know nothing. Do you know that? Seriously, I know nothing. Do you know that? Do you know that you know nothing? Ian. See, come on. My logic is flawed. So the person who just said, I know nothing, and makes a knowledge claim about what he does not know, I'm logically flawed. Oh. Yeah, well, so Doug, the interesting thing about probabilities only exist if there are absolutes. You can only know a probability if you know what the 100% is. So anyway, that's interesting. There is no 100%. And you know that for 100%, right? Come on. Come on. Come on. Seriously. Atheism leads to absurdity. It leads you down a path where you can't know anything. You can't trust logic. You can't even trust your own reality. I've asked atheists, I almost ask this question every single time. Is it possible that you don't exist? And the reason why I ask this question, so this is like street epistemology for Christians. There's a reason why I ask that question. I ask them, is it possible that you don't exist? And I ask that question because most atheists will say, well, I need empirical proof that your God exists. And when I say that, because most of them will say, yeah, it's possible that I don't exist. It's possible that I don't exist. But they have empirical evidence up the wazoo that they do exist, right? They can see themselves in the mirror. They can see their hand. They can touch them, right? They smell themselves. They could, taste themselves, if they wanted to. Right? And if you have bad BO, you smell yourself, right? You can hear yourself. And so some of them will say, well, I can't even know that I exist. Well, what does that give you? That means that you're actually denying God not because of evidence. You're denying God because of something deeper. And Romans chapter 1 says it's because of your sin. It's because of your sin. And here's the thing. I do not, okay? I do not wish ill on any of my atheist friends. I don't. I want them to come to repentance in Jesus Christ. Seriously. Because I, as someone who was an atheist, who was denying my Creator, living in His world but denying my Creator, I caught just how sinful and how deserving of punishment I was from a holy and righteous and just God. And when I encountered that, of course I don't believe in Zeus, I'm a Christian. And when I encountered God, when God reached down and saved me, He brought me from death to life. That's what I want for my atheist friends. That's why I have these conversations. And that's why it's important. Why do you believe that the Bible is true, Travis? Because without it, life would be utterly meaningless. Life would not make sense. We would not be able to ground logic or morality. That's why I believe that the Bible is true. Also, the Holy Spirit regenerated me from the gospel, from the proclamation of the gospel that I heard that comes from the Bible. So that's just a couple of reasons for you, Doug. Please read back. I'll go ahead and I'll try to do that, Ian. But, there's people in here, people like to comment. There's people who like to comment. There's a lot of comments, man. They disappear. Of course, everything wasn't meaningless. That's not what I'm saying, because God created. Right? The only moral, logical people are Christians. Not what I said. You're an atheist, but all God... No, atheist says no God. If another worldview didn't lead to absurdity, would you consider it? I would investigate it, sure. Maybe you can give me one, Doug. Maybe you can give me one. I would put it up against the Christian worldview. But anyway, before Jesus, there was no morality. Who ever said that? No Christian ever? Come on, Shacker. Come on, bro. Oh, man. An easy answer, God created it. Such a cop-out. Unless, of course, it's the right answer. No, I got you, Shacker. That's not what I'm saying. What is God's purpose in creating everything? For His own good pleasure. His own will. He created mankind so that we might enjoy Him forever and His glory might be shown. That's why He created. Life would have no meaning. Life would be unintelligible. That's what I said. That's what I said. That's right. For His own glory. That's right. Hey, Doug, are those questions that you're asking biased, or are they completely neutral? Are they biased, or are they completely neutral? Why do people get murdered? Because people are sinful, that's why. Travis, they're biased. Great. Excellent. I appreciate that. See, wait, I'm a troll? Are you telling me I'm a troll, Adam? Did I say God created sinful people? No, God made Adam and Eve morally perfect and upright. They rebelled against God, and that's how the sin got entered into the world. Do you understand Christianity? The religion that you mock on here? Celery, or whatever your name is? Valerie? That's right. When I troll, my hat is always on backwards. That's right. We'll see you, Doug. It is easy to mock. I don't need to understand it. I don't need to understand. You know what? I can criticize you, but I don't need to understand it. I mean, seriously. Seriously. That is, what's the point of pretending to believe if I can't? I mean, seriously. That is, Valerie, that is what you say on the playground. That's what, like, kindergartners say to each other. Seriously. I'm gonna criticize you, but not actually understand your position. On, really. Oh, anyway. I know, I don't have 2 hours, I have to go. Okay. Well, Colonel, you didn't even know what ad hominem was. Did you go to Google and figure it out? You said you didn't know what it was. Man. All right. So, well, I'm sorry that your butt is wet. Please don't curse on my scope. Because who's a pretentious bigot? I'm interested. I'm interested to know. And how so am I a pretentious bigot? Adam and Eve, not true. So Adam and Eve story, not true. Is that a claim, Ian, or not? See, you can't get around it. You have to make claims in order to say anything. I mean, seriously. Do I believe in Noah? Yes, I sure do. I believe in the Bible. That was a claim. That's right. That was a claim. That was a claim. So Google is a pretentious bigot? Who's the pretentious bigot? I'm curious. Oh, extreme. Okay, so now you're going to qualify it. All right. So anyway, guys, those are my thoughts on street epistemology, Romans chapter 1, and how it intertwines with apologetics. I'm going to get home with my family, and I'm going to go indoctrinate my kids. Indoctrinate my kids with the gospel of Jesus Christ, which, if you repent and believe in Jesus Christ, that he rose from the dead, you will be saved. And I pray and I hope that you do. Let the kids think for themselves. Yeah, I could, but then my son would probably run into the road and get killed by a truck. So, you know. We'll talk to you guys later. God bless y'all.